Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Olivia. Today we're diving into a very important topic, polite versus rude English. Most learners get this wrong. Many learners speak English correctly grammatically, but sometimes their English comes across as rude or blunt without them even realizing it. Let's start with some common mistakes. A lot of learners say, "Give me the book." It's technically correct, but it sounds rude because it's a direct command. Native speakers would usually say something like, "Could you give me the book, please?" Repeat slowly. "Could you give me the book, please?" Notice how adding "could you" and "please" instantly makes it polite. Another common mistake is using "I want" directly. For example, "I want a coffee." Native speakers often soften it with, "I'd like a coffee, please." Repeat slowly. "I'd like a coffee, please." It sounds polite and friendly without changing the meaning. Many learners also make mistakes when declining politely. For example, they say, "No, I don't want it." Native speakers would usually say, "No, thank you, I'm fine." Repeat slowly. "No, thank you, I'm fine." This small change makes your English sound much more polite. Another mistake is using "why not" aggressively. For example, "Why not do it now?" Depending on tone, this can sound rude. A more polite alternative is, "Would you like to do it now?" Repeat slowly. "Would you like to do it now?" Notice how just changing the phrasing and tone makes it polite and friendly. Many learners also say, "You are wrong." Native speakers usually soften it with, "I think there might be a different way to see it." Repeat slowly. "I think there might be a different way to see it." Using soft expressions like this prevents your English from sounding blunt or rude. Another common mistake learners make is using "shut up" in casual conversation. Even if they think it's funny, native speakers would rarely say it directly because it sounds rude and aggressive. A polite alternative could be, "Could you be a bit quieter, please?" Repeat slowly. "Could you be a bit quieter, please?" See how just changing the words instantly makes it polite and friendly. Another subtle mistake is when learners use "you must do this" with friends or colleagues. It sounds like a strict command. Native speakers usually soften it with, "You could try doing this if you want," or simply, "I recommend doing this." Repeat slowly. "You could try doing this if you want." Notice how it sounds helpful instead of bossy. Learners also make mistakes with "I need." For example, "I need your help now." A more polite phrasing is, "Could you help me, please?" Repeat slowly. "Could you help me, please?" Just softening it with "could you" and "please" makes your English polite and respectful. Another mistake is saying "give me that" when requesting something. It sounds very blunt in English. A polite alternative is, "May I have that, please?" Or, "Could I please have that?" Repeat slowly. "Could I please have that?" Using these simple phrases instantly makes your English sound polite and friendly. Another subtle mistake is saying "I don't care" when learners want to sound neutral. Even though it's grammatically correct, it often sounds rude or dismissive in English. A more polite alternative is, "It's up to you," or "I'm fine with whatever you decide." Repeat slowly. "I'm fine with whatever you decide." See how this makes your English sound friendly and cooperative. Another common mistake is saying "you have to" when giving advice. For example, "You have to finish this today." Native speakers usually soften it with, "You might want to finish this today," or "It would be good to finish this today." Repeat slowly. "You might want to finish this today." Using soft suggestions makes your English sound polite, not commanding. Learners also make mistakes with "do this" in questions. For example, "Do this for me." A polite alternative is, "Could you do this for me, please?" Or, "Would you mind doing this for me?" Repeat slowly. "Would you mind doing this for me?" Just softening the tone completely changes the feeling of the sentence. Finally, another common mistake is overusing "why not" when suggesting something. For example, "Why don't you do this now?" Depending on your tone, it can sound rude. A polite alternative is, "Would you like to do this now?" or "Do you want to do this now?" Repeat slowly. Would you like to do this now? See how just changing phrasing and tone makes it friendly and polite. Do it now in casual conversation. Even if it's grammatically correct, it often sounds too harsh or commanding. A more polite alternative is, "Could you do it now, please?" or "Would you mind doing it now?" Repeat slowly. Would you mind doing it now? Notice how adding please or using would you mind makes it sound friendly and respectful. Another common mistake is saying give it to me without softening it. This sounds very blunt in English. Native speakers usually say, "Could I have it, please?" or "Would you mind giving it to me?" Repeat slowly. Could I have it, please? Using polite phrasing instantly changes the tone of your sentence. Finally, another subtle mistake is overusing "why don't you" when giving suggestions. For example, "Why don't you do this now?" Depending on your tone, this can come across as rude. A polite alternative is, "Would you like to do this now?" or "Do you want to do this now?" Repeat slowly. Would you like to do this now? Just changing the phrasing and tone makes it polite, friendly, and natural. Another common mistake learners make is saying hurry up when they want someone to move faster. Even though it's simple and grammatically correct, it often sounds rude or impatient. A more polite alternative is, "Could you please hurry?" or "Would you mind moving a little faster, please?" Repeat slowly. Could you please hurry? Notice how adding please and softening the tone makes your English sound polite and friendly. Another subtle mistake is saying give me a minute in a sharp tone. It can sound blunt or even dismissive. A more polite way to say it is, "Could you give me a minute, please?" or "Just a minute, please." Repeat slowly. Could you give me a minute, please? This small adjustment makes your English sound respectful and polite. Finally, a subtle mistake is saying "What do you want?" when asking someone for their opinion. It often sounds abrupt or rude. A polite alternative is, "What would you like?" or "What would you prefer?" Repeat slowly. What would you like? Just changing the wording makes your English sound friendly, considerate, and polite. Another common mistake learners make is saying shut the door when asking someone to close it. Even though it's grammatically correct, it sounds very harsh and rude in English. A more polite alternative is, "Could you please close the door?" or "Would you mind closing the door?" Repeat slowly. Could you please close the door? Notice how adding please and softening the request makes it sound polite and friendly. Another common mistake is saying "I don't know" abruptly. For example, when someone asks a question, learners often just say, "I don't know." Native speakers often soften it to sound more polite. "I'm not sure, but maybe," or "I don't know exactly, but I think." Repeat slowly. "I'm not sure, but maybe." Adding a small extra phrase makes your English sound cooperative and friendly. Finally, learners sometimes say "you are wrong" directly in conversations. Even if it's true, it can sound blunt or rude. A polite alternative is, "I think there might be another way to see it," or "I see your point, but maybe we could consider." Repeat slowly. "I think there might be another way to see it." Just softening your phrasing makes a huge difference in how polite and native-like your English sounds. And that's it for today's video on polite versus rude English. As you can see, even small changes in phrasing and tone can make a huge difference in how your English sounds. Native speakers focus on being polite, respectful, and friendly, even when giving commands or sharing opinions. By practicing these subtle patterns, your English will sound much more natural and confident. Pay attention to adding please or could you, would you mind, or softening phrases like I think instead of blunt statements. These tiny adjustments completely change how polite and fluent your English sounds. Keep practicing, repeat the corrected sentences out loud, and try using these patterns in your daily conversations. Over time, your English will sound natural, respectful, and very native-like. Thank you for joining me today on Talk Olivia. Keep learning, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video of this series. Bye-bye!